Hey, I'm so excited to be with you this morning. If we haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name's Liz. I'm our Next Gen Director here at LifePoint, and I'm really excited to be bringing the word to you today, but also kind of rounding out Paint the Town Red weekend. And who was a part of Paint the Town Red this past week? Woo! I know lots of you. I saw a ton of you yesterday participating in our Serve projects, and it was such a great time just being the hands and feet of Jesus to our community right here in our backyard. And maybe it's your first time here today, or you were out of town, or whatever it may be, and you're like, what is Paint the Town Red? Or I wasn't able to be a part of it. Paint the Town Red is simply our yearly initiative to be very intentional about showing our community the love of Jesus. And so that looked like a lot of Serve projects throughout the community, and many of you were a part of that. But I'm excited to be kind of rounding it out, so if you weren't able to be a part of it, I have an opportunity for you today to paint the town red with us together, because today is Food Bank Sunday, everybody. Food Bank Sunday. So, like I said, I feel like kind of the anchor of the relay here. I was watching the Olympic trials a couple weeks ago and watching track and field, and one of my favorite events to watch is the 100-meter dash, because it's like super intense, super fun, and it's over in 4 seconds, and so you don't have to watch that long. So I love that event because then you get to know who's going to be in the 4x100 relay, right, in the Olympics, which is a great event too. So I feel like Caleb and Alyssa kicked it off last week, and then we were able to prep all week long for Paint the Town Red, and we went and served our city this weekend, and then we're going to be able to kind of round it out with Food Bank Sunday. And so Food Bank Sunday is just an opportunity for us to meet a real need in our community, and we've partnered with Eastern Area Community Ministries, which is a ministry over off Westport Road, and their mission is this: that every family would be fed, sheltered, and safe. And so we get to partner with them to be a part of helping stock their food bank that goes to over 100 plus families in our community. So not just 100 people, but that represents hundreds of people that they serve through their food bank. And I went over there a couple weeks ago to talk with them about, what are your needs for your food bank? What are you guys low on right now? And they said summer is our lowest time of the whole year because everybody usually donates around the holidays, and so summer is a time where we really need donations. They said we'd be so grateful if this would be something your church would do every year, because we need you to make our food bank happen. So my hope today is that not just that we're going to stock their shelves for the next couple weeks or so, but what it would look like if we stock their shelves for the rest of the year, that they don't have to worry about where the donations are going to come from, but LifePoint Church is going to say, hey, we're going to see this need and meet it. So what today is going to look like is I'm going to talk to you for 16 more minutes. God help me, I can do this. And then I'm going to let you guys go to the grocery store and shop. And then you're going to come back, bring your donations. You probably saw the trailer out front, and we're going to pack that trailer out and be able to deliver all the food to the food bank tomorrow. So I'm going to come just around one verse today, give you a few points, and then we're going to go be the hands and feet of Jesus. We're going to be the church. We're going to get outside of these four walls and really make a difference today. So our verse today is 1 John 3:17. It says this: if you see some brother or sister in need and you have the means to do something about it, but turn a cold shoulder and do nothing, what happens to God's love? It disappears, and you made it disappear. That is a heavy verse, and, I had to sit with that for a moment because that can be really impactful. But a couple things I want to pull out of it. First, if you're taking notes today, number one is that we would see the need in our community. The beginning of that verse says, if you see some brother or sister in need. And I looked up that word to see in the original text, and it gave some descriptors that I loved. It means to look at, to gaze, but what I loved what it said, to experience, discern, or take part in. So there's a way that we can see a need with our eyes and we can walk past it. But there's also a way that we can see a need with the eyes of our heart and partake in it, to let it sit with us, to let it have that feeling in your chest that's a little bit heavy for a minute. That's not bad. God's opening your heart to see the need in our community. And if we don't know know that there's a need, then we're not able to do anything about it. So we have to partake in it to experience it in order to meet it. And I just want to help us to see this need in our community today. As I was doing some research for today, I found some really shocking statistics about Louisville and our food insecurity statistics. So I want to share them with you. Louisville Metro has a population of 1.3 million people. That is a ton of people. I am from Spotsylvania, Virginia, and we probably have more cows than we have people. So 1.3 million people is a lot of people, okay? And so 1 in 8 of those people in Louisville are currently experiencing food insecurity. Food insecurity simply means this: they don't know where their next meal will come from. And I don't know if you can say the same, but this morning I didn't wake up and say, I don't know what I'm going to have for breakfast because there's nothing in the cupboard. They don't know where their next meal is going to come from. And a lot of our rows back here in the middle have about 7 or 8 seats. So that looks like today one of you in each of these rows would be experiencing food insecurity if we're looking at Louisville as a whole. Even more shocking is 1 in 5 children in Louisville are currently food insecure. So not only do they not know where their next meal is coming from, but they actually don't really have the means to do anything about it. In our schools, in kids that just attend JCPS schools, 65% of them qualify for free and reduced lunch. That's over half of the kids that maybe will only get a meal if they're at school. They will only get breakfast or lunch if they go to school. And 30,000 of the people in Louisville are food insecure, and they don't qualify for federal assistance at all. So this is a huge opportunity for us as a church to say, you know what? Not on our watch is God's love going to be snuffed out in our area. Not on our watch or in our generation are people going to go hungry or have to rely on a government assistance program. No, we're going to be the church, and we're going to see this need in our community and go and meet it. You know, last week we passed out those little red cards, if you were here. It said, a little something extra to show that God loves you. And we gave you those cards and asked that as you went through your week, you would just have head up, eyes open, and heart engaged to who God may put in your path. And this was so helpful for me. I put them in my wallet, and I was like, you know what? It's time for me to slow down a little bit so that I'm ready on any opportunity to bless someone with a need God puts in my path. So it helped me to see the homeless man at the Big Four Bridge, and he may not know where his next meal was coming from. I was able to bless him. Or a mom who works night shift all night long and watches her kids all day and just needs a little bit of a break, able to bless her. Or a coworker who just needs to be shown the love of God because she never has. It helps us to see, not just with our eyes. So this is an opportunity in the morning to see with your heart, because our hearts are the seat of where our compassion lives. And we can either choose this morning to open our hearts to the need that is presented or to close it up. In the beginning of that verse, it used that phrase, when we turn a cold shoulder. And in the original text, that turn a cold shoulder phrase, that meant that we might close up the heart. And it's my prayer today that we're not closing up our hearts when we see a need. No, that we're going to open them to the need that's in front of them and be able to do something about it. And so 1 is that we would see the need. 2 is that we would be moved by compassion. Matthew 15:32 says this: Jesus called his disciples to him and said, I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. I don't want to send them away hungry, or they may collapse on the way. Jesus' motivation was compassion for his people. Matthew 14:14 says, when Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them, and he healed their sick. So what did he do? He saw a need. He was moved by compassion, and he practically met a need in someone's life to show them his love. And Jesus has done the same for us. If you were here today and said, I'm a follower of Jesus, you can say, I've experienced the love of God, and I may not be where I want to be in my life right now, but I know I am not where I was because I've had an encounter with Jesus who said, I love you, and I'm going to hang on a cross and die for you and take every sin and mistake and pain you would go through and wear it on myself. He didn't just say, I love you, but he said, I love you, and I'm going to do something about it. And so he's the perfect model for us this morning. If we back up from our theme verse in 1 John 3:16 through 17 in the NIV, it says, "This is how we know what God's love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. If anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person?" And so we have this model of Jesus has laid down his life for us. We get to lay down our lives for other people, and we do that through practically meeting a need because God's chosen us as his vehicles to show the love of God to a hurting and a broken world. And so when we see a need and we're idle and we're not moved, God's love, it disappears. But when we see a need and we're moved by compassion, God's love actually multiplies. And I believe God can take what little you have this morning to give, whatever it may be, and multiply it in greater ways and areas than you could have ever thought. And I've been praying really this week about Paint the Town Red, and I really believe that it's a line in the sand moment for us as a church. We've partnered with several ministries and organizations through our city who are already doing the work of the ministry. They're already meeting the needs of people. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but we're saying, hey, how can we as a church come alongside of you in order to bolster you and to meet your needs so that you can serve the people that you already do? And so I believe as a church, we're saying, you know what? As Life Point Church, if Life Point Church were to cease to exist for our partners, our city would take notice because we're going to be such a generous church. We're going to be a church that shows the love of God, that it's going to be multiplied through us, through what we do. As it goes on in that verse, in verse 18, it says, "Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth." So we have to see the need and be moved to do something about it through the compassion in our hearts. And I want to real simply and show you the logistics of kind of how today's going to go, because I know sometimes you're like, okay, we're going to partake in this project, but I've got lunch plans, and my kids are going to run crazy if I go shop, or, I just don't have the finances right now. Whatever kind of things automatically come up in your mind, I want to help show you how you can still be a part, because I believe 100% of us can partake in today. And, we're ending service in 8 minutes, and so we've already shortened service for you. You have all the time that you're going to need to get to the grocery store and come back. Thinking about your kids, what a great example to show them the love of God, that we're going to be a family who serves. We're going to be a family who's generous. We're going to look to the needs of others and make a difference. And so, I was talking to Pastor Jen about the past couple years. She's taken Sam to serve projects and taken him to Food Bank Sunday. And it has been a little bit of a sacrifice to take him because she had a toddler, okay, at the time. And I know for some of you, you're like, it's going to be a little more of a headache to take my kids with me today. It'd be a lot easier if I just stay here and Dad runs off to the store and comes back. But I'd encourage you as a family, go together today. Let it be some of the best memories that you have together because you did it together. And so I want to show you this week, or on your way out, you're going to receive a card. It looks just like this. And we went over to the food bank and say, hey, what are the needs that you guys have right now and will need into the end of the year here? And they gave us all these items that we can donate and be a part of making a difference. So you'll receive that on the way out. And this week I went to the store and I bought one of everything on that list. And so I kind of want to practically just show you what that looks like. If you were to buy one of everything on the list, it's $60, and that's everything that's right here. And that represents about 30 pounds of food. And so I'm learning a lot as I was researching for this message. It takes about 3 pounds of food a day for a person to live off of. And so what would it look like if you bought one of everything on this list today? You're able to feed about 10 people for a whole day, that they can say, you know what, I don't have to worry about where my food's going to come from, because someone already went before me and provided it. And so maybe today, I know that there's a level of sacrifice for each of us that this is going to take. Because if we're going to make a dent in what the food bank's need is, it's going to take a little bit of sacrifice. It's going to take, some sitting maybe in the grocery parking lot before you go in and say, hey, God, what's my level of sacrifice today for what you're asking me to do? And I think for some of you, it's taking this list and buying one of everything on it. And I didn't go buy name brand stuff. That's great value, okay? It doesn't have to be the best of the best. But if you went and bought everything on that list, that could be your level of sacrifice today. And I know some of you in this room, God has blessed you in the area of your finances, and you have some overflow that you could go over to Sam's Club. It is a mile away, and you could buy pallets of diapers. You could buy pallets of vegetables. You could buy pallets of marinara sauce or whatever it is. You can go above and beyond today. Let that be your level of sacrifice. Maybe for you, you're saying, you know what, I've just got a couple dollars left over this month. If you go buy one thing, if we all do what God has asked us to do today, we can make a greater impact. If we all do this together, if we're going to make a dent on the 1.3 million people in this city, the 1 in 8 that don't have food for their table. Maybe your level of sacrifice is saying, you know what, I'm going to put away my Starbucks budget for the month, and I'm going to use that to buy groceries. I like iced coffee as much as the next person, okay? And that's a little bit of a sacrifice. But maybe it's saying, hey, you know what, we're not going to go out to eat this month because we're going to make food at home so we can bless somebody else so that they have food on their table. And if today you're here and you're like, you know what, that's me, I don't know where my next meal is coming from, I want you to find a staff member today or pull through the front by the trailer and say, hey, that's me, I need some food, and we're going to load you up with everything that you need so that you don't have to worry about where your next meal is going to come from. So as you leave today, just take a moment with God. Say, hey, what's my level of sacrifice today that I can play a part in this? Because we all, I think 100% of us can participate. If you have to lean over to your friend and say, hey, can you give me $2? Do it, okay? Some of you got some really generous friends. Do that. I don't know. I think 100% of us can participate today. So, number one, we have to see the need. Number two is be moved by compassion. And number three is to receive the gift. Proverbs 19:17 says, whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done. You know, we don't give to get something back from God. We're not manipulating his hand in any way. But I believe as you participate and you refresh someone else in your life, God's going to refresh you. Maybe you walked in depressed or anxious today and needing some joy. Would it be your refreshing of someone else that God pours his Spirit out on you? Maybe you walked in a little lonely today, and maybe you grab someone, meet a new friend on the way out and say, hey, can we go shop together? Maybe you gain a friend today because of your willingness to sacrifice and participate in the day. You know, Isaiah 58:11 says, the Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land, and he will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. So when we get on the same page with the mission of what God is doing here, he's going to bless you. He's going to take care of your need. If you dip into that budget a little bit, I think he's going to pour back out onto you. I've seen him do it time and time again in my life. It's going to take a little sacrifice, but I believe God has a gift for you today. So don't walk out of here and let that, feeling in your chest be like, oh, I should have gone to the grocery. What? I should have done it. Just go today. Grab a friend. Be a part of today. We'll be here till 3 p.m. taking donations for the food bank. You have all day long, okay? Maybe you need to text a friend and say, I'm going to be 30 minutes late to lunch today because this matters. This is important. I'm going to serve my city. What if that even opened a conversation with your friend to share the love of God? As we meet the needs of others, God's love is multiplied through our city, and I believe will have ripple effects for years to come. So in just a few minutes, I'm going to have you stand to your feet, and I'm going to let you go shop. I want you to go get your kids, okay? Don't leave them in Kids Point. Take your kids with you. Our Kids Point team is prepared. They're ready for you to come back a little early. But you're going to receive that food list on the way out, so you're going to take that list with you. There's 7 grocery stores within 4 miles of here, okay? So it can take you 5 minutes to get there, 15, 20 to shop, and 5 to come back, okay? And when you come back, I want you to pull through the front circle where you saw the trailer, and our team is ready there to unload unload your car. You don't even have to get out of the car when you come back. They're going to unload your car, put it all in the trailer, and we're going to be able to go bless the food bank tomorrow. Can we do this, everybody? Can we do this together?